So I have created this photo gallery app using React and Vite project, Vite and Tailwind CSS. Uh, as you can see, when I reload this, when the app is loading, you can see a loading icon here, a loading animation. So I have added a loading animation when the app is calling the API, and after it fetches the data from the API, it is displayed on the app in a grid format. All the photos are displayed here. I can filter these photos according to their names. If I want a photo of Paul, so all the photos of Paul Jarvis are filtered, and we can see them. If I want only Alex something which is starting from ALE, so I can see that. Also, I have added the feature to like and dislike the photos, the toggling of the likes. If I click here, I can unlike it, and if I click again, I can like it. So this works. Also, I have added a few. Also, we are storing this in local storage. So if I reload the page, the likes of these photos are not refreshed. They are stored in the local storage. Uh, Now I have also created a custom hook which is called use fetch photos. This is the custom hook I have written. In this custom hook, we are I have wrote a function first. In this function, I have wrote a try catch block. In the try block, I'm doing the API calling the data from the API. And if the API call fails, it is the catch block is the catch block runs and it displays the error message. And if the API call succeeds, then if the API call succeeds or fails in both the situation after the work is done, this block will run, which is called finally, and it will set the loading to false, which we initialize at true as true initially, because we want when we load our app, we want the loading animation, and uh, after we fetch the photos and display them, we want the loading to be stopped. So we will set the loading to false at the very end. And after we wrote this function, I called this function fetch photos, and this custom hook will return the return an array of all the photos. It will contain the photo ID and author name, download URL, all those things in an array. It will return the loading state if it is true or false, and if it will return the error message if there is any error message or not. Then I have used use reducer, which is this. What actions does this reducer handle, and why did we choose use reducer instead of use state? So this use reducer handles uh, maintains the maintains a list of the liked photos which are marked as favorites. So the functions which this use reducer does is uh, if a photo if I have clicked on a photo and it is already in the liked list in the photos of liked list or favorite list, If it already exists in that list, it will mark it as it will remove it from that list so that we can mark it as not like dislike. And if it does not exist in the if it does not exist in the liked list, it will mark it as liked. So for example, if I click on this is the photo, and now initially it is not liked, so it will be not present in the liked list of the photos. When I click here, uh, this use reducer, this use reducer will mark it as liked in the list and also update it in the local storage, which I have done in gallery.jsx. The local storage feature function I have done in the gallery.jsx. And if I click again on it, it will mark it as disliked. It will remove it from the liked list of the photos. So I used use reducer instead of use state because we need to do complex logic in this function because if it we are not handling a single thing in this. So to handle a complex logic, we are using use reducer because this function requires logic like if we want to remove the likes, we want to add the likes, and also we want to store it in the local storage. So it is a complex logic. So to in bigger apps, we use reducer to make it efficient. Then the component in which I have used use callback and use memo. So here I have used use callback. So I have used use callback here so that this function handle search function which is run when I type something here. Like if I type p, it will the handle search function will be recreated every time on every render. So to we want to prevent this. If I type P, it will be recreated. If I type A, it will be again recreated. If I type U, it will be again recreated. So it is being recreated every time. You don't want this to happen. So I will use callback so that it only recreates when it is necessary. On unnecessary re-renders, it is not recreated. Similar thing for use memo. Whenever the search term changes, the filtering of the photos is done. So, for example, there are uh, when I type LAALE, it is not filtering of the photos is not done. Filtering of the photos is not done on every render. Basically, whenever I need to, whenever it is necessary, at that time only filtering of the photos is done, and we can and the filtered photos are displayed here. Whenever the search for the photos changes, if the search term changes, the filtered photos is uh, rendered again. And what would break if you remove them? The the code will run if I remove use callback or use memo. But we are using this because we want to make our app more efficient, and it will be good if we use this in bigger apps like big scale projects. If I remove use callback, the handle search function will be recreated on every render, on every time. Same thing for use now. If I remove the use now, the filtered photos will be computed every time. On every render, the rendering will happen every time, and on every render, the filtered photos will be filtered. The photos will be filtered every time. So this is not very efficient. So because of that, we are using use memo and use callback. So one thing that was difficult, to be honest, I didn't know how to use fetch photo, use reducer, and use callback and use memo. So I referred multiple blogs, documentation. I read documentation. I went through some YouTube videos. I went through some YouTube videos and took some time to understand how to use that. And I implemented the what I learned about use reducer, use callback, and use memo. These three things were difficult for me to implement, but I did it. And this thing took me time to figure out. So this was my photo gallery web app project. Thank you.